Blackhead prevention works best when it is gentle, consistent, and realistic, because blackheads usually do not appear from one dramatic mistake, but from a slow buildup of oil, dead skin, leftover product, sweat, and ordinary daily friction around the opening of the pore over time. So the smartest goal is not to attack the skin, but to keep it calmer, cleaner, and less congested without creating new irritation. A simple routine is often more effective than an exciting one. Cleanse the face in the morning, and again at night with a mild cleanser and lukewarm water, because very hot water can strip the skin barrier and leave the face feeling tight, dry, and more reactive. Use your fingertips rather than rough scrubs, abrasive washcloths, or stiff cleansing brushes, because blackhead-prone skin usually responds better to calm handling than to aggressive rubbing. If you sweat after exercise, yard work, housework, warm weather, or a long day under sunscreen and makeup, it helps to rinse or cleanse the skin as soon as practical, because sweat mixed with oil and residue can sit on the skin and contribute to that heavy clogged feeling. Avoid squeezing, scraping, pinching, digging, or trying to force blackheads out at home, because that often causes more redness, swelling, irritation, lingering marks, and regret than the original blackheads ever caused. Choose non-comedogenic products whenever possible, including moisturizers, sunscreen, makeup, and hair products, especially if your hair touches your forehead, temples, or cheeks. A lightweight moisturizer can help, because skin that becomes too dry often becomes irritated, and irritated skin makes people impatient, and impatient people are exactly the ones most likely to stand too close to a bathroom mirror and start making decisions they would not defend the next morning. If you use over-the-counter acne care, it is usually smarter to begin slowly, with one well-chosen active ingredient, instead of layering several strong treatments at once. Salicylic acid may help keep pores clearer, and adapalene may help reduce clogged pores over time, but patience matters more than panic. Improvement usually comes from steady use over time, not from one dramatic weekend of treating your face like a chemistry experiment. Remove makeup before bed. Change pillowcases regularly. Clean the things that touch the face often, like phone screens, eyeglass frames, hat bands, and helmet straps. Keep heavier oils and styling products away from acne-prone skin when you can. Try not to rest your face in your hands for long stretches while reading, thinking, worrying, driving, scrolling, or politely listening to a story that should have ended 15 minutes ago. Stress management matters too, not because stress alone causes every blackhead, but because stress often leads to poor sleep, rushed cleansing, more face touching, more picking, skipped routines, and the kind of late-night bathroom behavior that always feels strangely productive until daylight arrives with a very different opinion. Diet does not need to become a courtroom trial, but hydration, regular meals, moderation, and decent sleep support better daily habits overall. If blackheads are stubborn, widespread, mixed with inflamed acne, or simply not improving despite a sensible routine, professional guidance may save time and frustration. Prevention is rarely glamorous. It usually looks like repeating calm habits, reducing friction, choosing products the skin can tolerate, and remembering that steady care beats dramatic interference most of the time. And that same principle, the principle that not every small problem should be overworked, overhandled, or turned into a public emergency, would have saved Harold Howe, Wexley of Pine Lake Shores Retirement Village in northern Florida, a truly heroic amount of embarrassment. If anyone had explained it to him before the afternoon, he accidentally became the live host of the county cable cooking fundraiser, introduced a gelatin salad as if it were a visiting senator, and nearly caused a 6-minute on-air argument about whether canned peaches belonged in lasagna. Hal was 77 years old, retired after 40 years as an insurance claims adjuster, and so naturally suspicious of disorder that he once reorganized the church fellowship closet while waiting for a funeral to begin because, in his words, mops shouldn't lean emotionally. He lived with his wife, Nancy, in a tidy stucco bungalow with white shutters, a screened porch, and a kitchen so organized that visitors occasionally whispered as though they had entered a library with better pie. Nancy was 74, a retired public school music teacher with soft gray curls, bright eyes, and the unnerving ability to sound kind while being completely correct. She loved Hal deeply, partly because he was loyal and dependable, and partly because every few months he produced a new and unrequested form of nonsense that gave her enough material to keep marriage fresh. Pine Lake Shores was the kind of retirement community where nobody was ever technically busy, and yet somehow everybody had a schedule. There was cards on Monday, water aerobics on Tuesday, hymn sing on Wednesday, trivia on Thursday, movie night on Friday, and on the first Saturday of each month the community room filled with casseroles, lemon bars, and opinions. Once a year, however, the little county cable station partnered with the Senior Center for a cheerful fundraising special called Silver Spoon Saturday, a live 2-hour television program where local residents demonstrated family recipes, told kitchen stories, answered harmless call-in questions, and encouraged donations for the Meals on Wheels program. It was exactly the sort of event that sounds small and safe until you remember the words live television and older volunteers with recipes copied from index cards stained in 1983. Nancy loved Silver Spoon Saturday. Hal did not. He said television magnified the wrong things. Nobody on television ever looks like they're having a normal chin, he would complain, while adjusting the rabbit ears on the bedroom set, even though the rabbit ears hadn't functioned in 20 years, and were now mostly decorative memory. Nancy would reply, "People are not tuning in for your chin, Hal." Hal's closest friends in Pine Lake Shores were Vernon Tate, 78, retired tire dealer, one hearing aid functioning and one mostly ceremonial; Lucille Moreno, 72, former beauty salon owner, sharp as a paring knife and twice as polished; and Jean Robards, 80, widower, former school janitor, slow walker, dry wit, and the proud owner of 6 Western shirts that all looked faintly surprised. On the Tuesday before Silver Spoon Saturday, Nancy volunteered to bring her pineapple upside-down cake to the broadcast. Hal went along only because he wanted to return a folding table leg that had somehow ended up in their garage after the church rummage sale. "I'm just dropping this off," he said as they entered the senior center kitchen. "Then I'm leaving before anybody assigns me a name tag." That was the kind of sentence older husbands should never say out loud in public, because public places listen. Inside the kitchen, volunteers bustled around with recipe cards, mixing bowls, extension cords, and 3 different kinds of foil. Mrs. Dolores Kincaid, the event coordinator, stood at the center of the room holding a clipboard and wearing the expression of a woman who had successfully bullied at least 4 county commissioners and 1 weather forecast. Dolores was 69, former bank manager, entirely immune to dithering, and so committed to cheerful organization that she once color-coded the church parking lot for Easter. "Wonderful, Nancy, you're here," she called. "Set your cake ingredients on the prep table." "Oh, and Hal, thank goodness." Hal stopped dead, still holding the folding table leg. "No," Dolores blinked. "No what?" "Whatever you're about to say. We need someone reliable to watch the host desk while I help the camera crew set up lighting at the studio. It's only for a few minutes on Saturday." Hal shook his head. "I am carrying a table leg. This is not the posture of a volunteer." Dolores folded her arms. "You have a clear voice, good posture, and the face of a man who can say important things without smiling too much. Lucille, who had been slicing pecan bars at the side counter, muttered, "That is certainly true." Nancy pressed her lips together, already feeling danger bloom like a stove left on low. Hal tried again. "I am not television material." Dolores waved the clipboard. "No one here is television material. That's the charm." Then she turned to somebody near the sink and shouted, "Write down that Hal Wexley will help at the host table." The room applauded automatically, because that is what rooms full of retirees do when a problem has been redirected away from them. Hal stared at the ceiling as if hoping roofing would collapse in mercy. Nancy leaned close and whispered, "You and your big folding table leg." Saturday came bright, sticky, and full of Florida sun. The county cable station was housed in what had once been a dentist's office, and now looked like a place where public access dreams went to be negotiated by extension cords. There was a small studio with a painted kitchen backdrop, 2 demonstration counters, a fake potted herb garden, and enough bright lights to make everyone look as if they had recently confessed to something. Dolores was everywhere at once. Volunteers arrived with casserole dishes, pies, aprons, coolers, recipe cards, and the kind of hopeful anxiety that makes older Americans overpack napkins. Nancy set up her cake station. Lucille arrived with a dish she called Savory Southern Ribbon Bake, which looked like it could either feed 8 people or rewire a porch. Gene brought a chicken salad mold shaped like a fish, because, as he explained, "That's the mold I had." Vernon wandered in carrying a grocery sack and announced to no one in particular, "I still don't understand why they put food on television if no one can taste it." Hal had meant to stay by the coffee urn and remain functionally invisible, but invisibility vanished the moment the actual host, a local insurance sponsor named Brenda Cole, phoned in with laryngitis. Dolores looked at the phone, then at the room, then at Hal, and the whole air changed. "No," Hal said immediately, even before she spoke. "I can see your face changing, and the answer is no." Dolores put down the phone with the gentle finality of a judge placing a sentence. "Brenda can't come. Her voice is gone." "That is unfortunate for Brenda, and unrelated to me." "It is directly related to you. You have the clearest speaking voice in this room," Lucille said. "That's true. Mine sounds too expensive for public television." Jean added, "I'd help, but I lose my place if there are cue cards or weather." Nancy folded her arms and waited. She knew this part of her husband well. He always objected hardest right before surrendering to competence. Hal shook his head. "I do not host things. I do not introduce casseroles. I do not smile into cameras." Dolores handed him a stack of cue cards. "You do today?" "I haven't even read these." "Better, you'll sound natural." Hal looked at Nancy for rescue. She patted his arm. "You can do it. That is not rescue." "No," she said sweetly. "That is observation." 20 minutes later, Hal was seated at the little host desk under 3 hot lights, wearing the emergency blue blazer someone found in the costume rack, a tie borrowed from Jean, and an expression usually seen on men awaiting complicated dental news. The floor manager clipped a microphone to his lapel and said, "Just look at camera 2 for the opening, camera 1 for transitions. Smile when it feels safe, and don't talk during the graphic." Hal asked, "What is the graphic?" The man replied, "You'll know." Nothing about this answer helped. The countdown began. Dolores hissed stage directions from behind a tower of paper flowers. Nancy, already in place at the first recipe station, gave him a small encouraging nod. Lucille mouthed, "Don't die." The red light on camera 2 came on. The opening music played, a cheerful little keyboard tune that sounded like someone had typed inexpensive happiness into a machine. Then the floor manager pointed at Hal. He smiled with the strained sincerity of a man trying to sell his own kidnapping. "Good morning," he said, voice steadier than he felt. "Welcome to Silver Spoon Saturday, where friends, family recipes, and common sense gather for a good cause. Dolores' eyes widened. That was better than Brenda. Hal continued because now he had momentum and no legal exit. Today we'll be sharing local favorites, kitchen stories, and enough butter to remind us we are not here for medical judgment. The crew started laughing silently behind the cameras. Even Nancy nearly lost her place smiling. The first segment went smoothly. Nancy made her cake. Hal asked sensible questions. The audience phone line flashed once, though no one yet answered it. Lucille followed with her savory bake and used the phrase, "a whisper of paprika," so sincerely that Hal had to look at the table to avoid laughing into the microphone. Then came the third segment, which began the unraveling. Gene approached with his molded chicken salad fish, balanced on a tray of iceberg lettuce. On paper, it sounded manageable. On television, under hot lights, with Vernon in the background opening and closing a cooler like a suspicious dock worker, it became surreal. Hal, already slightly dehydrated and overcommitted, looked down at the cue card, saw the words, "Gene's Coastal Celebration Salad," then looked up at the wobbling fish-shaped mold and said, with entirely too much solemnity, "And now we welcome a dish that, from certain angles, appears to have opinions." The room collapsed. Gene snorted so hard he nearly dropped the tray. Dolores slapped one hand over her face. Nancy turned away, under the pretense of finding a spatula. Hal kept going because once a man has accidentally made the control room laugh, there is no reason to stop walking into the river. "Gene, tell us about this distinguished guest." Gene, wiping tears from his eyes, said, "Well, Hal, it's chicken salad in a fish shape because the mold was my sister's and I've never had the heart to question family tradition." The phone line lit again. Then again. The floor manager pointed wildly, meaning people were actually calling in. The first hour rolled on like a parade with loose wheels. Hal got better. He stopped sounding like a hostage and started sounding like the dry, slightly skeptical, funny man Nancy had always known he was when he forgot to be guarded. He introduced a peach cobbler as honest work in a casserole dish. He described a deviled egg tray as a dangerous level of confidence for 11 in the morning. Donations ticked upward. The camera crew loved him. Dolores stopped looking panicked and started looking proprietary. Then came the segment that finished his dignity for good. It began with Mrs. Gloria Pennington from the church social committee, arriving late carrying a glass bowl the size of a baptismal font. Inside was her famous layered gelatin salad, a dessert salad side dish hybrid with red gelatin, white cream cheese fluff, canned peaches, chopped pecans, shredded coconut, and enough visual uncertainty to qualify as a weather pattern. Gloria herself was 78, organized, deeply proud of her recipe, and entirely immune to teasing if she thought the final spoonful proved her point. Hal read the card. "And now, from the honored kitchen of Mrs. Gloria Pennington, we have..." He stopped, looked at the bowl, looked at the card again. "Gloria, I mean this respectfully. What exactly are we calling this?" Gloria lifted her chin. "Sunset Celebration Layer Delight." Hal stared at the bowl. "That is a bold title." Gloria said, "It won first place at the County Fellowship Supper in 2009. Hal, forgetting everything except the strange, sincere absurdity of being a man in a borrowed tie asking formal questions about a trembling orange dessert on live television, said, "Well, then let us welcome it, as one would welcome a visiting dignitary." He turned back to the camera with the grave tone of a late-night national announcement. "Ladies and gentlemen, Sunset Celebration Layer Delight has entered the studio." The control room lost all remaining discipline. The floor manager bent double. A camera operator actually had to lower his head for a second. Gloria, to her credit, did not flinch. "It has peaches," she said, as though introducing a judge. The phone line lit up wildly. Hal tried to recover. "Tell us what makes it special." Gloria smiled. "People don't know whether to serve it beside ham, after ham, or instead of ham. That's how you know it's versatile." Hal had to bite the inside of his cheek. "And the peaches? Canned?" Of course. At that exact moment, Vernon, who had been assigned to manage the cold items and should never have been left unsupervised behind a curtain, misheard Dolores say, "Bring out the pasta bake next," as "Bring out the peach bake next." He emerged from the side door carrying Lucille's uncooked test tray of experimental peach lasagna, a strange recipe she had not actually intended to present because she was still working the social risks. The tray caught the studio lights like a public confession. Hal looked from Gloria's gelatin to Vernon's pasta tray, then at Lucille, whose face in the wings could only be described as homicidal disbelief. And because fate had chosen comedy over professionalism hours earlier, Hal said into the microphone, "Well now, apparently peaches are having a legislative majority in today's program." The room detonated. Lucille stormed out, snatched the tray from Vernon, and said, "That is not ready for civilization." The viewers at home, according to the later call logs, loved this more than any properly planned segment. Donations spiked. Someone phoned in $20 for the gentleman in the blue blazer and the fish salad. Another called to ask whether the gelatin recipe could be mailed to her sister in Alabama if the sister was emotionally sturdy. The second hour only got wilder. The phone line rang off and on. A church deacon forgot his ingredient list and described his potato casserole entirely through feelings. Nancy accidentally set off the hand mixer at the wrong moment, and powdered sugar drifted through the light beam like blessed weather. Jean referred to Sunset Celebration Layer Delight as Her Excellency twice, and no one corrected him. Then, because the universe respects escalation, Dolores announced a final rapid-fire segment called Refrigerator Surprise Round, where the hosts would answer viewer questions about leftovers. Hal, by then fully transformed from reluctant helper into the accidental dean of live televised nonsense, fielded a call from a woman asking if canned peaches belonged in lasagna. He looked slowly toward Lucille. Lucille looked back with the expression of a woman prepared to defend her experimental rights. The whole studio waited. Hal cleared his throat and said, "Ma'am, I would say peaches may visit lasagna, but they should do so with written consent from all parties." Even Dolores had to sit down after that. When the closing music finally played, the cast applauded one another like survivors of a small civic flood. Hal took off the microphone and leaned both hands on the host desk. "I need water, quiet, and legal distance from fruit." Nancy kissed his cheek before anyone else reached him. "You were wonderful. I was dragged through 2 hours of culinary uncertainty. And you were wonderful in it." Dolores hugged him next. "You saved the whole fundraiser." "No," Hal said. "The gelatin saved the fundraiser. I merely described it with federally unnecessary respect." Lucille came over carrying the forbidden peach lasagna tray like dangerous evidence. "You," she said, pointing one fork at him, "made me laugh on live television and nearly turned my rehearsal pan into a county issue." "I regret nothing," Hal said, and to his own surprise, he meant it. The final donation total broke the event record by more than $1,000. The county paper took a photo of Hal, Nancy, Jean, Gloria, and the fish mold under the banner. The little cable station replayed the program twice over the weekend. By Sunday afternoon, half the county had seen it. At church, people stopped Hal in the hallway and thanked him for that thing about the gelatin. At the hardware store, a man in overalls nodded once and said, "You handled the peaches with authority." A teenage cashier at the pharmacy asked if Sunset Celebration Layer Delight was coming back next year. Vernon told everyone he had purposely introduced the peach lasagna to keep the pacing unstable, which was not true but did sound like him. Gloria Pennington, perhaps the greatest victor of all, walked through the fellowship hall after service, carrying herself like a woman whose dish had finally gotten the diplomatic recognition it deserved. For a week afterward, Dolores answered the office phone by saying, "Meals on Wheels fundraiser, home of the famous dignitary salad." Hal tried to be embarrassed. He failed. He had enjoyed himself. Not every second. Not the borrowed tie. Not the studio lights. Not the fish. But enough. More than enough. That was what unsettled him. One evening, 3 days later, after the calls had quieted and the pie plate from the station had been returned, Hal sat with Nancy on their screened porch, while rain muttered softly against the palms. The house smelled faintly of coffee and lemon polish. A fan turned overhead with the lazy rhythm of a Florida evening, trying not to sweat too hard. Nancy rocked gently and said, "You know what the funniest part still is?" Hal looked over. There are too many possible answers. "No, my favorite part is that you spent years saying television made ordinary people look odd, and then the first time you got on it, you looked like yourself, which was much better." He thought about that while the rain tapped the screen. "I did not expect to enjoy it. That's because you assumed enjoyment would come only if everything went according to plan." He huffed once. "That is generally the civilized preference." "No," she said softly. "That is your preference. Civilization mostly survives on people recovering." He smiled into his coffee cup. "You sound pleased with yourself." "I'm married to you. I've earned it." They sat quietly a moment. Then Hal said, "You know, it's not so different from skin." Nancy laughed before he even finished. "Oh no, don't you dare connect gelatin diplomacy to blackheads." "Why not? Same principle. People see a little problem, overdo the response, scrub too hard, squeeze, pick, poke, and often turn something manageable into a spectacle. Better to be gentle, consistent, and know when to stop before peaches enter the lasagna." Nancy laughed so hard she had to set down her mug. "That is the most ridiculous correct statement I've heard this month." Correct, though. Annoyingly, yes. And maybe that is the real connection between preventing blackheads and getting through ordinary life with your dignity mostly intact. Not every little flaw needs to be squeezed. Not every irritation improves under pressure. Not every confusing moment needs an emergency response, a stronger product, or a public announcement. Sometimes the wiser answer is gentler, slower, steadier, and less dramatic. Clean what needs cleaning. Reduce the friction. Keep the routine simple. Do enough and then stop. And if the gelatin enters like a visiting senator, if the fish mold develops opinions, if the peaches seize temporary control of the broadcast, then laugh, keep going, and let the mess become a story instead of a wound. Hal Wexley never became carefree in any saintly sense. He still labeled extension cords, still distrusted surprise casseroles, and still believed at least half of American social trouble came from weak signage and overconfident folding tables. But after the year, he accidentally became the live host of Silver Spoon Saturday and discovered that an ordinary, slightly skeptical, decent man could survive both television and a fish-shaped chicken salad with his humor intact. He carried his dignity a little looser, his wife's wisdom a little more gratefully, and his own need to overmanage with much less authority than before. For a man like Hal, that was real progress, and for Pine Lake Shores it was even better because it became one of those stories older Americans tell over pie, weak coffee, folding chairs, and community tables. A story about marriage, food, live microphones, and the comforting truth that people can still surprise themselves long after they think all their useful parts have already been inventoried, labeled, and put away for good.